There is a team over there in Green Bay that's potentially in the J.J. Watt sweepstakes, but J.J. has had a dozen teams reach out for him, and the one he's potentially most interested in says Mary Kay Cabot of the Cleveland
Plains dealer.
Bingo. Has been covering the Browns for a long time. Mary Kay has given us a lot of breaking news over the years for the Cleveland Browns. She said that J.J. Watt is thoroughly interested in the Cleveland Browns. Now, if he goes to Cleveland, the longest rival of the Pittsburgh Steelers, where his brothers are, does J.J. Watt hate his family? And does J.J. Watt hate his home if he doesn't go to the Green Bay Packers? We can say anything about it. And also thank you for sacrificing your body and driving into work after being told not to come, by the way, Ty. But J.J. Watt, potentially a Packer, pretty cool. This morning, though, a report from Florio says, no, he might be a Cleveland Brown.
I mean, I think there's absolutely no way he's going to go
whoa,
sign with the Browns.
Hold on, though.
I would assume.
Hold on, though. Cleveland Browns are going all in.
Yeah.
Cleveland Browns bring in Odell. They pay Austin Hooper. They pay Kareem Hunt. Now Baker Mayfield had his best year yet. Well, he considered they're going to have to pay him probably. But the Browns, Myles Garrett, they're going. The Browns seem to be going all in on a win more than the Packers would be. Maybe that's why J.J. Watt. He's like, if I go to the Packers, they got Aaron Rodgers, who's obviously the guy, and I guess they did pay some money last offseason, but they're not going to go all in like the Browns potentially are.
They're a better football team. I mean, you have a better chance. I mean, the Browns going to beat the Chiefs next year? Probably not. But I think to your point too, like the only thing that worries me is, typically the Packers don't make like a splash in free agency like this. They wouldn't go after a guy like him, but also, like, if he can go to Tampa or if he can go somewhere warm and you've been in Texas, it'd be very tough. I mean, he's from Wisconsin, but shit, it'd be nice to just go be in Tampa where it's nice all year round. You know you're going to be good. You're not paying any state income tax. That's
quite appealing.
I was going to say, that really stacks up.
J.J. Watt stories are coming out. Mary Kay Cabot of the Cleveland Plains dealer in Cleveland says J.J. Watt has legitimate interest in the Cleveland Browns. They're a great team. I don't know why you wouldn't have legitimate interest, aside from the fact your brothers are on the division rival in Pittsburgh, potentially go back to Green Bay because you're from Wisconsin, maybe over there in Tampa. When you're a GM, like let's say Andrew Berry is in Cleveland right now, and that team's different than the one you were currently involved in when you were there, how do you talk to these players to get them to pick Cleveland over L.A., Tampa, Miami, maybe, these other places that are going to become a bit appealing?
But, it's always about two things. It's about the chance to win and the chance to make the most money, right? So I think whenever these free agencies, we hear about them all the time, rarely there's more than two teams interested in any one player. A lot of it is the agents driving up the interest to create a situation where there's this, incredible market for a player. He's got 8 teams, 9 teams. I've never been, other than Reggie White when he was a free agent, I've never been in a market where it had 8 teams. Like I never have. And this year, because of supply and demand, the supply is so much higher. The demand will be lower because don't know. So, Cleveland has an advantage because they have cap room. They can pay all the money up front, put a higher cap number on it than, say, a team like Pittsburgh who has no cap room. So it's all predicated on that. So I think as a general manager, you got to kind of ignore the noise, focus on what you think the value is of the player and what role the player can play for you.
Thank you for bringing that up. Because, you alluded to a couple things there. Allegedly, a dozen teams are interested in J.J. Watt. Depending upon what J.J. Watt's looking for, I'm intrigued to see how this whole thing plays out. But whatever you just said, that you have to ignore the noise outside. You were a part of trading for a number 1 overall pick with Trent Richardson coming to the Indianapolis Colts. You were in the Cleveland Browns side of that thing. Get a number 1 overall, get rid of an asset that you thought no longer was worth that or whatever. And I guess hindsight, you ended up being accurate, even though Trent was a good guy. Okay, the whole thing, it seemed like you were right in that move. How do you know what's real and what isn't? Because that's a blind bid, right? When you're a GM and you're in a trade, that's a completely blind negotiation where you have no idea what the other people are offering at all, right? Then you have to, do you even listen to the insiders, or is that all bullshit out there because agents are trying to get their narrative out there. Other GMs, I'd assume, are trying to get their narrative out there. Like, how do you pick and choose what's real and what isn't?
everybody has an agenda, and you got to figure out what the agenda is. I mean, so as a GM, like for the Trent Richardson, I basically said, if we don't trade this guy now, what we know about him, people are going to figure out sooner than later.
Jeez.
So the perception is right now, the perception of him being a great player is the reality. Once that's not the case, then we won't get any value for him, and then we'll really be stuck. So you've got to maximize when the perceptions are higher, when you know what the reality is. That's A. B, you also got to know who your competition is. So, there's a bunch of teams interested in J.J. Watt. Interest and putting money on the table are way different, way different. I don't doubt there's 8 teams interested. I don't doubt that 8 teams made phone calls to his agent, 12 teams. But I'm talking about cash on the table. I'm talking about a substantial offer where you're getting this green in exchange for the player to sign. Those are about 2 teams at the most when you're competing. And when you're in this trade market, you've got to look through it and see what makes sense. Let's take Marcus Mariota, for example, right? The Raiders have him under contract for $10 million. He's due to make $20 million if he becomes a starting quarterback. So if you traded for him, you got to count that he's going to be and operate under that contract. He's going to be $20 million. Okay, who's your competition for him? Washington was interested. I don't think they're interested anymore. New England was interested. I'm not sure they're interested anymore. So the more work you do on the player, you kind of leads you to where it's going to go. And so you just basically know that the Raiders have to cut this kid because they can't carry $10 million. And so you've got to wait till the perfect timing to swoop in to say, okay, I'm interested, but it's only going to be for this.
Interesting. So you have to scout for other teams as well. You have to look at their cap space as well.